Chicago crime has eliminated another business. The Hyde Park Ulta is closed or closing. You want to know why? Theft. They won't say it, but in their statement, they said that the economic climate is tough, i.e., our margins are being destroyed by theft. So now the actual law-abiding citizens of Hyde Park and all the surrounding areas who frequented that Ulta because it was convenient, it was in a really fun area, they now don't have an Ulta to shop at because people who don't want to do good, who don't want to abide by rules, and who don't want to stop stealing have now robbed this entire community of a staple store for a lot of young women in the community. People may be like, oh my God, it's an Ulta. And it's like, yeah, but a lot of women, especially women of color, being able to run to Ulta to get a quick jar of curl cream, or being able to go re-up on your favorite moisturizing shampoo, or being able to go and get whatever your makeup products are and all of those things. That's actually important to a lot of women. It's important to their quality of life. And it's important to how they go about living if they live in Hyde Park and all these surrounding areas. So having it shut down because mayors like Mayor Brandon won't get petty theft under control in the city and is incentivizing people to continue to do repeated petty theft to the point where businesses have to say, hey, if it comes down to closing locations, we're going to close as many as we can on the south side of Chicago because we're being brutalized. How many Targets have closed on the south side of Chicago? I want you to go look it up. Go look it up in the last 10 years, how many Targets have closed on the south side of Chicago? Go ask yourself, why is this happening? It's theft. Stores cannot even afford to be open in these areas because theft is out of control. That is not okay. It's not okay. And you, as a Black person, you are not a sellout for saying this is not okay and that is impacting your quality of life to stay quiet. It's time for you to speak up before everything that you know and love is pulled from your hands because you stood in line with people who did not mean you any good.
Now, Chicago isn't just losing jobs, it's losing the backbone of entire communities. You know, when stores shut down, it's not shelves going empty. It's families losing access to basics. And when a response from leadership turns to be nothing more than excuses, I mean, the people voted in to protect these neighborhoods turn their back. And now families are the ones paying the price. But it gets worse because when federal agents came under attack, the people in charge didn't just fail. They ordered betrayal.
Okay, y'all. As a former police officer, I cannot fucking believe what I'm hearing. Dispatch proof, audio proof out of Chicago shows and tells us that the Chicago Police Department was given a stand-down order by their command staff and their chief when ICE agents were being surrounded by armed citizens. They called out for help, and the Chicago Police Department was told to stand down. This is not misinformation as it's being said. This is actual audio proof from official dispatch recordings. I don't know about y'all, but when someone is in need, in uniform, every fucking uniform available goes to help that other badge and or uniform, regardless of the agency that you're from. So this is absolutely despicable. So do you believe every command staff in Chicago should resign right now, be replaced or fired, including the fucking chief? And replaced by respectable, honorable law enforcement officers that actually have their brothers and sisters in uniforms back? Or do you believe this is okay because Trump is in office and whatever Chicago is doing is okay because we want to push back against President Trump and the National Guard? And that also includes jeopardizing law enforcement's lives. Let me know in the comments. Oh, and don't forget to follow.
Think about that for a second. Men and women in uniform, I can't even talk, surrounded, calling for backup, and the order is stand down. That isn't just bad leadership, that's abandoning your own. And the proof isn't rumor, it's on the dispatch tapes. All the stuff going on in Chicago, and you would think that the mayor and governor, they'd be pleased to have Trump's help. But it didn't take long for those decisions to come back and haunt the command staff in terms of telling them to stand down.
And we also learned today the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police has issued a vote of no confidence for the supervisor who allegedly told officers to not respond to a shooting involving federal agents over the weekend. It happened when agents say a woman armed with a weapon rammed into their vehicle. Yesterday, Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling defended Chief of Patrol John Hine, saying there was likely some sort of miscommunication. Bavino says he spoke with Snelling and that he does not expect any issues in the future. And we also learned
Now, the largest police union in the country just said, we've had enough. A no confidence vote against Chicago's chief of patrol. That's not politics. That's officers saying their leadership is a danger to their own survival. When a rank and file won't follow their commander, you don't have a chain of command anymore. You've got chaos. And while the ground is crumbling in Chicago, the excuses from the politicians are piling up.
Mayor, I just read what the president just sent out today, saying that the governor and the mayor of Chicago should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. As I've already mentioned, the ICE facility that's kind of been a central focus for weeks now is in your very small town. What is your reaction to the president when he says that?
Well, he has his right to his opinions, and I severely disagree with that. We have a right to protect our communities. We have a right to protect the state of Illinois, and we didn't ask for the National Guard.
I want to play for you something because Portland is another prominent city facing something of what you're dealing with in Illinois. My colleague Shimon Perukipez spoke with a congresswoman from Portland who is there and begging protesters at an ICE facility there to leave because what she says is that outrage is exactly what the administration is looking for. Let me play for you what this congresswoman says.
By going to that facility, people are not being strategic. At this moment in time, protesting in the streets is absolutely important. Just don't protest right there because then you're playing into their story that is not the reality, as you can see looking around here. You become part of a war zone narrative if they decide that that's the time they're going to go out there and provoke.
Do you agree with her? I mean, would you like to see the protesters leave? Because I know that you have signed an executive order to limit the hours that protesters can protest at the facility.
Oh, absolutely. We know that ICE don't respect local laws. They don't respect First Amendment speech and assembly, and the Fourth Amendment unlawful and assembly. So absolutely. And we want to make sure that the people that visit our town every day, that they're safe and they feel protected. By going into that facility is just going to incite other things that can take place. And we just want people to be safe, but be able to exercise their freedom of speech.
But you'd like to see the protesters leave. You think they're playing into the administration's hands by protesting outside the facility?
Well, emotions are high right now, right? And so when we channel that emotion of anger, sometimes we don't think rationally. And so we as local leaders have to put protocols in place to keep people safe. It's not to restrain or put a ban on anything. It's in the best interest of them. And sometimes people just don't know what's best for them because of the anger that they are facing or the challenges that they want to see changed from their lens. But I agree with her that, we asking you all to stay away from the facility because it's going to create more problems. And again, we live here in Broadview, and then we have to deal with the aftermath. When those protesters come to our community, they get to go home. They get to go home trauma-free, drama-free, sleep well at night. Their families are not impacted. They could get up, go to work, and then we stuck with all of the aftermath stuff in the village of Broadview. And that's just, we deserve that dignity, that peace and respect that you all get when you go to your respective community to sleep at night.
Mayor of Broadview, a very small town, a village, as you said. Mayor Thompson, thank you for your time. Let's see what happens in the
mayor of Broadview actually blamed ICE for the violence while refusing the National Guard. I want y'all to let that sink in. Let it marinate. The same guard that could have secured her streets, she turned away, only to turn around and blame the very agents under attack. This is politics over people, plain and simple. But while the mayor's over here playing defense, the president made a call of his own.
400 Texas National Guard are on their way to Chicago right now. I know that Chicago mayor is feeling some type of way. They did the most yesterday trying to smear President Trump. Check out Pam Bondi and how she handled Congress today. She ate them up.
Consulted by the White House before they deployed National Guard troops to cities in the United States?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House.
You won't even say whether you talked to the White House about this?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House with you, Ranking Member.
I noticed that. What's the secret? Why do you want to keep this secret? The American people don't know the rationale behind the deployment of National Guard troops in my state. The word is, and I think it's been confirmed by the White House, they are going to transfer Texas National Guard units to the state of Illinois. What's the rationale for that?
Yeah, Chairman, as you shut down the government, you voted to shut down the government, and you're sitting here, our law enforcement officers aren't being paid. They're out there working to protect you. I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump. And currently, the National Guard are on the way to Chicago. If you're not going to protect your citizens, President Trump will.
Oh my gosh. Pam Bondi, she was going off yesterday. That's all I'm going to say. 400 Texas National Guard troops now rolling into Chicago. And when Congress tried to grill Pam Bondi about it, she flipped the script. I mean, toop. Government shuts down, law enforcement goes unpaid, and yet they still put their lives on the line. Her message was very simple. If local leaders won't protect Chicago, Trump will. And trust me, the threats they're walking into are very real.
New bulletins from the Center for Internet Security and Department of Homeland Security stating ICE agents and facilities have been targeted by an anarchist website in Chicago. The law enforcement threat assessment from the Center for Internet Security says at least 4 Chicago area ICE facilities, including Broadview, have been surveilled with detailed layouts, diagrams, and photos posted to what is described as an anarchist website. Also found on the website, reviewed by the ABC 7i team, photos of ICE agents, including names, faces, and badge numbers.
There has been an increase in the attempt to gather information online and publish it even on websites publicly available.
A separate Department of Homeland Security Joint Intelligence Bulletin from this month advises ICE facilities and personnel face an increased threat from domestic violent extremists, similar to the 2 shootings at ICE facilities in Texas in September and July.
These are law enforcement operations, and these are law enforcement officers that are doing what they were sworn to do.
ABC 7 police affairs consultant Bill Kushner says the enhanced federal action in Chicago brings enhanced risk to immigration operations.
The more people resist this in a violent fashion, the more violence is going to be used to defend the officers.
New DHS bulletins confirm Antifa-aligned websites are posting layouts of ICE facilities with their names and faces of the agents. That's not protest. That's targeted warfare against law enforcement and law enforcement's families. This is what they're up against every day. And it proves what side of the so-called resistance is really on. And if you think this is all just some exaggerated rhetoric, wait until you see the FBI's numbers.
Taking the juggernaut that is demolishing the weaponization of law enforcement and bringing it to places like Chicago. When I was there today with Todd, we learned that the Chicago city streets have 110,000 gang members. That's right. You heard me right. They had 1,200 shootings this year alone. 360 homicides. When politicians choose to side with those metrics and not their citizenry, thank God we have President Trump and this Department of Justice and this FBI going in there and crushing violent crime. And President Trump sent us into these cities quietly to set the stage, to set up for the National Guard, to see the success that we saw in Washington, D.C., in Memphis. The FBI has been leading the charge in every single one of these streets because we know how to gather ground level intelligence and we know how to put handcuffs on the bad guys, and we know that we have the backing of this administration. And most importantly, the agents at the FBI know that they have the backing of the American people and their government. Taking the juggernaut that is demolished.
Oh, man. 110,000 gang members. That's what the FBI director just revealed. Nearly 5% of Chicago's population. Imagine trying to raise your kids in a city where 1 out of 20 people is in a gang. And that's not an accident. That's years of failed leadership and political games finally catching up with reality, if you ask me. What we're seeing in Chicago isn't just a local problem. It's one of every city in America. When politics replace duty, when leadership protect their power instead of their people, collapse isn't far behind. Law and order is not optional. It's survival. I tell you that all the time. Respect to every officer still standing tall when the people above them won't. Because at the end of the day, it won't be the politicians who save the communities. It'll be the men and women who never stood down. So if you made it to the end of this video, I want y'all to put standing tall. Wow, there we go. Put standing talls. Y'all be safe. Oh, I want to show y'all this picture right below here. Y'all be safe. Please go check on a friend today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.